Well, what's going on, guys? Lotus What If here, and like I said in the last video, the video that will be put out right now is What If Deku Was Kicked Out of UA Part 3. So, last I left off, Izuku, he goes into class one day, tells Mineta to not look at Miracle or do anything that involves Miracle whatsoever. Why? Because, well, he feels like it's a pervert, and, well, that's his girl. So, yeah, Mineta obliges after feeling the pressure. And take in mind, remember, he's the only one that could feel the pressure. So, he goes and he says, "My name is Izuku Midoriya." And they're like, and they all say, Midoriya? Bakugo says, Deku? And he says, yeah. And so he goes and sits down in his old seat. Miracle just sits there and listens to the lecture and makes sure none of the teachers do anything bad, like she hand out work and stuff like that to them. So, class listens to their lesson, and now they have to do hero training. So, Izuku, he goes and stuff like that. And his hero training is basically the clothes he wears, which is, he's not wearing the Gucci belt no more. He's just wearing a regular belt. A regular belt. This this one now, it's like I said, he was wearing a the dark blue lab coat, yeah, dark blue lab coat, light blue, and he was wearing, well, J's, and the red part is blue basically. So yeah, he was basically wearing that, and that's basically what he has as his hero outfit. And so they do that, and they're basically having the time of their life. Take in mind, none of the things that happened in the original anime never happened yet, alright? None of them happened yet, alright? None of them. Absolutely none whatsoever. So, yeah. So, like I said, Izuku, he has the ability of matter, well, to manipulate small things, such as cells and so forth, and matter manipulation. So, Izuku, he's basically minding his own business and stuff like that. And while everybody's changing, Izuku, he didn't need to change basically since he's already wearing his hero outfit, and he's basically outside with Miracle on his lap and stuff like that. He forced Miracle to sit on his lap. Well, not forced, but, well, he's clingy basically. And Aizawa steps out and he says, and he sees that, and he's like, how long has this been going on basically? And she says, a year now. And she's like, oh, wow. And he's like, oh, wow, damn. So, yeah. Azawa got a love for life of his own. He's not dating Hazashi in this one. He's dating, Miss Joke. Yes. Why? I just want to make Miss Joke, alright? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't like it. I really am. This is my third video today. I'm probably gonna make a fourth, but, like, yeah. So, Miracle is on his lap and stuff like that. And the class is about to step out. Miracle kisses him on the lips and says, "Alright, baby, we'll have to act like, well, shit, like student and teacher for now." And Izuku says, "Fine." So they go and do the evaluation since it's been a year and shit like that. And Tawa says, "I have to see how strong you've been pushing your quirks and do the quirk evaluation again." So everybody gets the same score except for Izuku. Izuku, he says, Izawa says you have to, well, throw it without your quirk. He makes them throw it without their quirk and then with their quirk. First, Izuku throws it without his quirk. He does a light 10,000 kilometers. Why? Because Izuku, he rearranged his cells to basically give him 10 times progress in anything he does. So, yeah, he does that. And he has 10 kilometers. And I was like, what the hell? And this is just his normal throw? And he says, with your quirk now. And Izuku, he just holds the ball in his hand and he says, open. And all of a sudden, a crack, like a crack just happens, and you see a vacuum type thing. It's a space rift, or a time and space rift, or a time rift. A rift through space, basically. He broke through space and made a vortex. He made a time vortex and he threw the ball into it. And it says infinity. And the class, they're like, what the fuck? What's his quirk? And Izuku, he says, alright then, I'll be going now. So every test Izuku gets number one in, and Bakugo, he's getting really pissed off about that. Because he thinks, oh, I should be the best. I have All Might's quirk, and I have an already flashy and strong quirk. So he does that, and now it's time for the USG. I'm joking. So it's the end of the day, and Izuku, he's going home with Miracle, because they walk the same way, coincidentally, to the class, except for Aizawa, since he knows about the relationship. So yeah, so walking home, they get home, and immediately after closing the door, they start kissing. Tongue kissing and all, alright? They start kissing and shit. And Miracle, she jumps on him basically, and he's holding her while kissing her basically. So they're doing it right in front of the door and stuff like that. The door is locked. Yes, the door is locked. The door is locked, and they're basically kissing. And the Miracle just gets down. They're kissing on their way to the room. The way to their room, they're taking off their clothes. And when they get to the room, Miracle just pushes him on the bed, and you take in mind, Izuku, he has no pants on, he just has underwear on. Miracle takes off the underwear, and she just licks the schlong. Like, remember, he has the 20-inch, she licks the 20-inch schlong, and it gets up right away. Why? Because Izuku is looking at a thick-ass bunny girl right in front of him, alright? So she does that, and she starts sucking, basically. She sucks it and stuff like that. She's wrapping her tongue around it and stuff like that. I know you boys are imagining it. So she's wrapping it around. She's wrapping her tongue around it and stuff like that. And remember, rabbits have a long tongue, actually. Yes, they have a long tongue. And they have a warm one at that. A warm, long tongue. So her tongue is warm. It's at perfect temperature and stuff like that. And he's like, ah, 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 ah. And Izuku, he grabs her by the ears, and she likes it when he's rough with the ears. So he grabs the ears, and he doesn't pull them to the point where they're gonna pull off, but if he does, he could just regenerate them for her. So he pulls them closer and stuff like that, and he's pushing her back and forth, and she's just sucking and stuff like that, and she's making the sound basically. And Izuku says, "Miracle, it's so good, I'm about to come." And she puts up the A-OK sign saying it's A-OK, and he nuts inside of her mouth, and she swallows. She swallows it first, she shows it to him, and she swallows, and she says, "You came a lot," and he says, "Yeah." It's not that it's surprising, it's just that, well, he came a lot, that quick. And then Miracle says, "Well, now it's my turn." And Izuku, he goes down there and starts giving her head, alright? And due to her diet, she eats mostly vegetables and stuff like that. I'm joking. She mostly eats candy and stuff like that, so her pussy is sweet, and so is her pussy juice. So yeah, and Izuku, he's tasting that shit, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's so sweet." And Miracle, she's money. She's like, "Ah, ah, oh yes, Izuku, ah," and stuff like that. And she says, "Izuku, I'm about to come." And she grabs his head, pulls him in, and she squirts all over his face. And Izuku, he takes out the 20-inch long, and he rubs it on her clit, and he says, "I'm putting it in." And she says, come in. And he puts it in. And right as he puts it in, she yells out a big moan. Take in mind, their house is soundproof. No one hears what's going on outside, so they could be as loud as they want. And she does that, and shit is wild after that. Izuku, he smashes and shit. Like, he's fucking like for a long time. Alright, she doing missionary, cowgirl, she bouncing up and down on him and stuff like that. And she's yelling out deeper, rougher, harder, and stuff like that as he thrusts and as she just jumps on. And she says, and Izuku says, I'm about to come. And Miracle says, yes, 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 I'm coming, basically. And he nuts inside of her. So, yeah. So he made it so that she can't get pregnant, obviously. And she just has nut inside of her. And so it's time. It's basically time for them to, well, make food. And she goes in the kitchen and starts making food. Hold up. So yeah, like I said, it's time for them to make food. Miracle, she's basically currently making food in the kitchen. Izuku, he wants to take a shower at that moment, and she still has the white stuff inside her belly. So Izuku, he goes up behind her and shit like that. She's wearing an apron. Alright, she's wearing an apron with no panties on, no bra on, no clothes on, basically. And he walks up behind her, he grabs the booty, and he goes up to her, and she says, ah, and she moans a little bit. And Izuku sees this, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it, I want to eat something else for dinner. She's like, what do you want to eat? And she says, I want to eat something sweeter. So he starts fingering her, alright? And he's playing with the titties. And basically, he's playing with the titties, he's stretching them, he's twisting them and stuff like that. He starts sucking the titties. And Miracle, she's moaning and stuff like that. So they do it on the counter. Yes, they do it on the counter. So Izuku turns her and he starts putting it in. He starts thrusting and shit like that. And as he was fingering her, some of his cum went on his finger and she licked it off. And she said it's tasty and stuff like that. And he thrusting and thrusting and shit like that. And he not stopping. Then he nuts inside of her and shit like that. So yeah, they basically do that for the rest of the time. And then it's the next day, and Miracle is limping. She's limping inside the school, and Aizawa was like, "What did y'all do?" And Izuku says, "Now, don't worry about that." And he's like, "Oh, okay, damn." Now, on the other hand, of the number 3 hero school, right? I think that's where Miss Joke works at that hero school. Miss Joke currently limping into class due to Aizawa blowing her back out. Yes, Aizawa blew her back out that night. So yeah, so now it's time for the USJ. So they go in and Izuku, he senses villains and he tells Aizawa. Aizawa was like, alright. And they go in and the villains attack. And the shit goes as per normal, except for everything goes different. Yeah, you really thought I was about to say shit goes as per normal. Yeah, nah. It don't work like that. So Kurogiri tries to teleport them, but the particles around Deku and Miracle, he changes that fucking shit and makes it so that they get teleported together with Suyu and Mineta. And they're in the water, and Izuku, he's not having a problem with it at all. He grabs that nigga, that shark face nigga, grabs him, and squeezes him to the point where he bends his fucking mouth and shit like that. So they're on the boat, and Izuku, he's like, alright, we don't need a plan. I could just body them right here, right now. And they're like, what do you mean? And Mineta says, don't get cocky, Izuku. And Izuku says, yeah, no. So, yeah. So he does that, and hold up. Damn. I'm a slow. So Izuku, he does that, and he smashes, basically. He smashed, and yeah. So USJ happens, and yeah. So, yeah, so USJ happens, and Izuku, he takes the particles in the water and he takes out he takes out the H2O. He adds electrical atoms. He electrically charges the atoms in the water at high voltages up to 30 million volts, and he electrocutes all the villains inside and he stuns them for about, well, a day. And he grabs them with the water and he, well, holds them and he's like, alright, let's go. So back on land, Aizawa beating villains. Nomu comes, dogs the shit out of Aizawa, and then Izuku gets there and he goes, and Tomura tries to touch Suyu, but Deku grabs Tomura's head from the side and he says, "Sorry, buddy, but you are unable of doing to do that." And Tomura tries to touch Izuku's hand and decay it, and he says, "Ha, I got you now." And Izuku says, "Yeah, I don't see your point of just grabbing my hand, but okay." And Tomura's like, "What?" And he looks down and sees his hand's not decaying, and he's like, "Oh." And Izuku says, "Oh, your decay quirk. Yeah, that doesn't work on me. But at least you tried." And he slams his head into the ground. And then he walks and he says, "So this must be the creature that they created, the Nomu, huh? Seems pretty weak." And he just punches the Nomu and it explodes. He basically just punches it like Izuku did to that demon in the 12 Commandments, basically. The one where he exploded its head, its chest, and part of its arms off. So yeah, that happens, and he heals Aizawa, and he says, "All right, let's get into the training." And he already dogged the shit out of the villains and shit like that, and he put them in jail. All right, he does that, and they do their training basically. All right, so Izuku in class 1A, they're in their respective shits, and Izuku, he doesn't really have a specific place because, well, he could, well, body those obstacles easily. So yeah, he's basically with Miracle basically, and Miracle says, "I have to go to the bathroom," and 10 minutes later, Izuku says, "Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom," and Zawa knows what's about to happen and says, "Okay, just don't take long," and they go inside the bathroom and they smash. And Izuku, he putting it in, he putting the work, he holding the booty cheeks, he slapping the booty cheeks, and he thrusting, and he holding the bunny tail too, and he thrusting. So yeah, I think, and then they did that for like a cool 30 minutes, and then they leave, and they left a whole splat on the wall, on the stall, basically. They did it in the stall, they didn't do it in the open, the bathroom. Yeah, the stall was quiet. Izuku changed the particles around and made it quiet, basically. So now they go back to the school, and it's lunchtime. And Miracle says, "Eat with me in in my private room," and she was like, "Alright." And what she was eating out was not food, but the D. And she's sucking and stuff like that. She twisted her body and shit like that. Yeah, and they did 69. All right, let's just say that they did 69 and shit like that. They squirt each other. Izuku, he drank some sweet juice and tasted that shit. So yeah, let's just say her shit tasted like candy canes. Yeah, let's say her shit tasted like candy canes. Miracle pussy tasted like candy canes, and I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off with the USJ. Nah. Alright, so yeah, I'm not gonna leave it off with the USJ. So they go and they finish the classes. Midnight comes in, teaches them Heronics, like let me just call it Hero Onyx and stuff like that. Hero names and shit like that. And All Might, he comes in and does battles. So he does, alright, class, we're gonna be doing battles and shit like that. So Izuku, he walks back to school. He walks back into the school and basically they're doing their shit and stuff like that. And he says, "Number one, number two." Team number one is obviously Deku and I'm joking. It's Deku and Uraraka, and the other team is Bakugo and Ida. I don't know if I said this, but like, let's just say when he got kicked out, he was dating Uraraka, and Uraraka cheated on him with Deku and Bakugo and Ida. So right as the thing started, he kicks Uraraka to the side and uses Space Rift and teleport and goes right behind the portal and touches it, and All Might grudgingly says Hero Team wins, and basically all the other matches go as per normal. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna be leaving it off. Lotus out. Lotus Lotus what ifs out, my little stars. I'll see you in the next video. I don't think I can make another video, so yeah, in the next part, I'll be saying all the other parts that happen, like the Stain arc overhaul, and shit like that, Island, and all those other things. So, yeah, bye, guys.